Welcome into our Week 3 matchup between the Portland Treeckos and the New York Krooks. Portland bringing in Hisuian Samurott, Lucario, Serena. Oh, and we are off to the races. They are not wasting any sort of time. But to gather up more information, New York walking in 2-0 with 23 points through 2 weeks of play. Portland 1-0. Of course, they had a bye week last week and sitting at 10 points from their Week 1 win against Vancouver. And Portland sending out Hisuian Samurott and their Excadrill. And there's the Incineroar and Gengar for New York's behalf. And who will be walking out of here? Of course, New York trying to keep their undefeated season off to a good start. They're going to withdraw their Gengar. They're going to send in their Archaludon. And there is a fake out onto the Excadrill. And there was a critical hit there. Portland, of course, hasn't played too many games here in the VRL. A critical hit, Ceaseless Edge, does a decent amount of damage onto the Archaludon. And they're going to scatter spikes all over. Of course, Portland had the Week 2 bye, which was very key and important for them to kind of get themselves set up for the rest of the season. Of course, New York starting out 2-0 through 2 wins. Week 1 against Denver and Week 2 against a close game against the Hawaii Toucannons, who we will see later today. And there's the Archaludon with the Protect. And there's going to be a drill run from the Excadrill to the Archaludon, but will not hit due to the protection. And here's a Razor Shell. The Pasho Berry from the Incineroar takes it to where it won't take as much damage from the Razor Shell, but that defense is going to drop. And the Incineroar is going to hit a parting shot. A -1 attack and special attack for the Excadrill and will withdraw itself here. And they're going to send out Politoed to set up that rain for the Archaludon, and they will get that spike damage. Now, Portland has to play smart here. Of course, both of these Mons that are currently on the field for them, Week 2 Archaludon and Politoed. No points claimed yet here in this matchup between these two teams. And there comes a Stealth Rock for the Portland Treeckos. And there is going to be that Electro Shot, which is going to boost the special attack of Archaludon right here, right away. And they're going to go for the Hisuian Samurott. And that is enough to take it out. And the first point of this match is going to the New York Krooks. And here's the Weather Ball from the Politoed onto the Excadrill. Good enough. And the first two are gone for Portland. 2 points to the New York Krooks. How do these trainers decide to navigate this? This is the question. And they're going to send out Lucario for Portland and Skeledirge. So again, a bit of a mismatch, but the Lucario kind of holds it. Portland, of course, trying to withstand this early hits from the New York Krooks. Of course, for New York, they still have that Incineroar and Gengar in the back half of their team. And there is the Lucario Knight for the Portland Treeckos. And if you are in Portland's sense, you want to try to get as many points here as possible. There is a Protect. The Lucario is going to use the close combat onto the Archaludon. It's not going to hit due to the Protect. And there is the Perish Song from the Politoed, a known tactic that New York seems to have found here within the first couple weeks. And there is a Shadow Ball from the Skeledirge onto the Politoed. Of course, Politoed, one of the more bulkier Mons here. And the Perish count is going to hit. What do both of these squads decide to do here now that there's a Parish Song? Of course, we've seen how New York uses it to their advantage. And what can Portland do to try to counter this? New York's going to withdraw the Politoed and send out their Incineroar. And they're, of course, going to get hurt by spikes. And the -1 attack, Skeledirge's White Herb is going to kick in, returning its stats to normal. A Protect from the Skeledirge for Portland's behalf. And there's an Extreme Speed from the Lucario. Has Incineroar down to 30 hit points left. The Electroshock coming out for the New York Krooks. There's a +1 in special attack once again. And there it is, on to the Lucario. And the Lucario is all said and done. New York one Pokemon away from starting off with a match win here in our best of 3 set. How do these two teams decide to navigate this? Of course, some of our last undefeated teams here in the Victory Road League through 3 weeks. And there is the Electroshock coming out for the Archaludon. And that is now +3 in a special attack for the Archaludon on New York's behalf. And it does decent damage onto the Skeledirge. A Shadow Ball going to come out onto the Archaludon, which is going to boost its defense once more. And there's the Throat Chop. Skeledirge is down to 4 hit points left. The rain will finally stop, but I don't know if it is enough. There's the Archaludon Protect right away for New York's behalf. The Incineroar is also going to use Protect, drawing this out for one more turn. And there is the Shadow Ball from the Skeledirge. And the Parish Count is going to hit. And there is the first win for New York, knocking out all 4 of Portland's Mons as we get ourselves set up for a round 2. All right, welcome back in to our VRL match between the Portland Treeckos and the New York Krooks here in week 3. Portland deciding to bring the same team from the first set as well as the New York Krooks. Of course, New York getting a clean 4-0 sweep in that first match after a scary start in week 2 against Hawaii, where Hawaii came out swinging. But Portland, of course, 1-0. Can they learn to bounce back here? Here in our second matchup of day 2 between all of our VRL matchups. And we are off to the races once more. And there is Incineroar and Sableye for the New York Krooks. And Excadrill and Samurott for Portland. How do these trainers decide to navigate this is the question. Of course, this Excadrill did not get to do as much in that first match. Of course, Samurott was able to get a couple hits in, but was mainly ineffective. And there comes that fake out onto the Excadrill right away. And there is a Reflect coming for the Sableye for New York. And the Excadrill, of course, will flinch and can't move. And there is a Ceaseless Edge from the Samurott onto the Sableye. And of course, those spikes are going to scatter onto the ground. Portland needing a win here in any sort of points. You don't want to fall to 1-1, only at 10 points. The sucker punch coming out from the Samurai, but it will fail. And there is a light screen from New York's behalf. And the Excadrill is going to set up a swords dance here. And what does Incineroar decide to do? And there's the parting shot onto the Samurai. -1 special attack and attack as the Incineroar is going to go back. And there comes Dragonite for the New York Krooks. Gotta presume they won that first match without any Mega Evolution. What do they decide to do here? And the Sableye will be withdrawn for New York's behalf, and they're going to resend out their Incineroar. They're going to be hurt by the spikes this time, but the -1 attack onto the Samurai and the Excadrill. And there comes the Mega Dragonite for the New York Krooks here. And there's the Flamethrower coming out onto the Excadrill. And there's our first Mon taken out in this second match. And here comes the Razor Shell onto the Incineroar. Of course, that Pacheo Berry is going to hit once again, and it won't be able to take as much damage due to that berry and due to the Reflect being up. How does Portland decide to navigate this one? And there goes Lucario for the Portland Treeckos. Of course, Portland now just still has 3 Mons available. You have the Samurott, you have your Lucario, and whatever else you may have brought here. And there's the Lucario Mega Evolve for Portland's side. How do they choose to navigate this? There's the Protect from the Incineroar. And the Extreme Speed is going to go towards the Dragonite. Isn't going to take a whole lot of damage. And there's the Tailwind from Dragonite's behalf. Samurot's going to use Sacred Sword. Is not going to hit due to that protection on the Incineroar. Portland trying to navigate a lot of the setup moves that New York has put onto the field. How do these two teams navigate this? And there's the Sucker Punch onto the Dragonite. And there's a Flamethrower coming out onto the Lucario. An instant knockout. Portland down to its last 2 Mons. And another point picked up for New York. And there's the parting shot once again on to the Incineroar. And here comes out their Sableye once more. And those spikes are going to dig in. The Reflect will finally wear off. And there is Serena for the Portland Treeckos. And at this point in this match, you have to think if you're Portland trying to pick up at least 1 or 2 points if you are able to. You don't want to go to 1-1 with only 10 points here in this league. Every point matters just as much as every win or loss does. How do these trainers and coaches decide to navigate this? Of course, full momentum into New York's favor. And there's Sableye with the Rain Dance, which is going to set up rain for 5 total turns. And there's the Hurricane coming out onto the Serena. It is a 1-hit KO, and New York is 1 Pokemon away from getting a week 3 win and starting off 3-0. And there's a Razor Shell, and the Sableye is going to avoid the attack. The light screen will wear off. Portland down to their Hisuian Samurott. How do they decide to navigate this is the question at hand. And there's that reflect back up for New York's behalf. And the Dragonite is going to come in with a Hurricane onto the Hisuian Samurott, leaving it down to 30 hit points. Here comes a Ceaseless Edge. The Sableye is going to avoid the attack again, and the Tailwind will teeter out. So still 1 mon away from New York starting out 3-0. How do these teams decide to navigate this is the question. New York will withdraw Sableye and send out their Incineroar. The Intimidate once again. And there is a Sucker Punch onto the Dragonite. Isn't going to do much. And there is the Hurricane. And that is it, folks. The New York Krooks are starting out 3-0 with now a total of 33 points. And Portland will drop down to 1-1 and only staying still at 10 points. All right, folks, we have our good friend Ian of the New York Krooks. Congratulations on the win. You are now 3-0 with a total of 33 points through 3 weeks. What was your mindset going against Portland as you came into week 3?
Thank you. Honestly, I had no idea what to expect. I forgot to do my homework, so I went with my safest team, the most defensive one. Yeah, You ever see Naruto? I feel kind of like Gaara with this team. It's just absolute defense. Nothing can really get through my Pokemon.
That's a unique comparison. Who would you name your MVP of that match against Portland there?
You know, it's like Dragonite picked up a lot of the kills, so did Archaludon, but kind of Incineroar did the most work with all those Intimidates, Fake Outs, and Parting Shots.
For sure. Now, I have to ask your mindset. You're going against the Boston Momolutions. Of course, they've been known to only use Evolutions through our first couple weeks of the league. What is your mindset going against a team like that?
I actually have something very special for a Sylveon.
Okay.
Sylveon matchup. It's a move I haven't been able to show off yet because it has been relevant. But yeah, okay. I have some tech.
For sure. Well, we look forward to seeing that, and of course, as of right now, as we are here live and as of recording this, the New York Knicks have a 3-1 lead. Do you have any hopes or manifestations tonight as they try to cap off a championship?
Man, Knicks in 5. Come on now.
Well, congratulations. We look forward to seeing you in week 4 against Boston.
All right, sounds good.
All right, and Portland will be playing the Buffalo Bouffalons next week as they try to bounce back from that loss. And we will get ready